Thank you for joining. This week's topic is how to break those formidable tasks we identified last week into bite-sized chunks. Have you ever given somebody a book as a gift? Probably not the best idea unless you know their reading taste. However, I do it all the time. And there was one book in particular that I gifted somebody that I really wanted them to read. I thought it was really important for them to receive the message that was in that book. And I talked to them and they said, I just don't read. I'm not a big reader. I don't enjoy reading. So I said, well, how about this? Why don't you open up that book and read the first sentence of the first page of the story, not the appendix or something like that. And because I couldn't think of anything else. And I'd read that somewhere where you just need to break these tasks down that seem a little overwhelming, perhaps, all in our mind, usually, into something that's so small and so easily done that you're almost insulting yourself not to just do that one line. So he tried that, and he finished the book within a 2-week period. I wanted to tell you that story because you can do that with virtually anything. Last week we talked about pushing through the fear of those looming tasks using meditation and journaling, and how those tasks will become very apparent, or those changes that we have to make will become very apparent as we work through those things. Other things that came to mind as I was preparing for today's topic were things like writing a newsletter. If you are thinking about, I need to write a monthly newsletter or a weekly newsletter, and it seems overwhelming, what I do, and this same, I apply these to my own life, I actually will start with just the template, just a draft. So I'll put together, that way I'm thinking, I don't have to put all the content in, I don't have to write all these articles. So I will just open up whatever newsletter service I'm using. I will start off with a draft. I'll put it on a logo or a picture. I'll set up just the structure of it, and then I'll make sure that I have my, about me or my closing that I want to use for the next 3 to 6 months, because it may change from time to time, but normally you can use the same outro on a regular basis. So I'll say, okay, just log in, get that part done, and you're done. And before I know it, I'm halfway done with the newsletter. I feel way better about my day, about how I manage my time, and it gives me peace of mind just getting in and doing that little bit. Because even if I only have time to do that little bit, that starting point, at least it's something that I can build off of. Cleaning is always something, right? A lot of times we put these tasks like cleaning in front of us instead of working on things that we should do. Well, sometimes we end up cleaning anyway, whether we should be doing a newsletter or exercising or something more beneficial than cleaning. But cleaning, personally, I don't mind it. A lot of times, and I'm looking at my desk right now, luckily with the technology of video, you can't see my desk because it is slightly cluttered at this point, but it's been much worse. So what I usually will do when I'm looking at something that's overwhelming, a room or a desk, is I'll just start with a corner, or I'll start with one section, or I'll start with, okay, just pick up the boxes, or pick up the papers, or file the books, or whatever it is. So I'll chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. And by doing these, what seem to be ridiculously small chunks, we set ourselves up for success, which promotes more success. In the book, The Outliers, if you've ever read that, and I recommend it, they talk about how these little successes build and become bigger and bigger over the course of a child's lifetime, whether it's in sports or academics. Well, the same thing is true with us now. If you have a task at hand and you can break it into bite-sized chunks to where you almost feel foolish if you don't do that one action. Because you said, okay, I'm going to read the first line of a book. Like, seriously, I can't take 3 seconds to read the first line of a book. More than likely, you're going to get sucked into the task and complete it. The last one I had, I was just checking my notes, was eating right. A lot of times we want to make changes around the way we eat, or what we're eating, or how we're eating, or maybe we want to cut out carbs or whatever, right? We've all read the stories. There's never going to be a shortage of ways to eat, and there's never been a shortage of the ways to eat. In modern times, I'll say that. Start with something so simple, like adding in protein to your breakfast. So even if you eat like a giant bowl of cereal and a couple of bagels for breakfast, right? You're just in carb heaven every day, every morning. You're loving it. Maybe add a couple slices of turkey bacon or a couple of eggs before you finish 2 bowls of cereal. And of course, I'm exaggerating. But you add in a little bit of something that's healthy, that's something that you know is beneficial. Now, or change just breakfast and then do the same thing you do every day for the rest of your meals. But you'll find if you start off with a strong breakfast or a breakfast that is healthy and works with your body, and again, that's going to take some experimentation, you'll make better choices throughout the day. But at least you'll know, hey, I've changed my breakfast. That was the only thing I did, and I can do whatever I want from here on out. What helps me when I'm doing the changes around diet is a lot of times I'll think, well, let me just get it done for this meal. So I say that to myself, just this meal or just this time, right? If I'm cutting back on soda or cutting back on caffeine and I want to grab a tea or I want to grab a Mountain Zevia, I love those things. If you haven't had them, fantastic. Sometimes I want to cut back on that stuff. So when I get the urge, I'll say, just this time, just pass. Just this time, add the protein for your breakfast or whatever. So that was the topic for today. I hope that is helpful. Thanks everybody for being here. I will be posting a video blog per day on my Quantum Life Coaching YouTube channel with tips around mindful performance. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you'll get notifications when I start posting those videos. It will be every day in April. So a lot of content, a lot of good advice, tapping into my training as a health coach.